Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a fascinating Buddhist text that holds a pretty wild secret. It's a single, reality-bending idea that, it claims, leads to unshakable confidence and a profound new way of seeing everything. Let's get into it. So, right out of the gate, this text hits you with something incredible. The Buddha makes some of the boldest claims you can possibly imagine. In front of this huge assembly, he just states with total certainty that he is completely and perfectly enlightened. Now, this isn't just self-confidence, it's a level of certainty that seems almost superhuman. So what's the secret behind it? And what are these declarations called? Well, the text gives them a pretty cool name: the Four Fearlessnesses. You can think of them as four fundamental truths that the Buddha can state before the entire world without any fear of ever being proven wrong. Okay, let's just stop and think about this for a second. He's not just claiming perfect knowledge. He's claiming total inner purity, a perfect diagnosis of what holds us back, and a guaranteed path to freedom. I mean, wow. Anyone making claims like that would need an unbelievably solid foundation, right? So, what is it? How is this even possible? Here's the kicker. The basis for all this confidence isn't some long list of secret facts or doctrines. It's one single, perception-shattering insight. The text says the Buddha is fearless because he equally and correctly awakens to all things. This one principle, the fundamental equality of everything, is the key that unlocks the whole thing. All right, so this is where things get a little weird for how we normally see the world. I mean, we live our lives in a reality of sharp divisions, right? Good versus bad, happy versus sad, right versus wrong. We see all these things as locked in a constant battle. Think about the biggest opposites in this worldview. Samsara, that endless, frustrating cycle of suffering, and nirvana, total liberation. For us, one is a prison we need to escape, and the other is a paradise we're trying to reach. But this text says, hold on, their essential nature is actually the same. They aren't two different places. They're two different ways of seeing the very same reality. And this same kind of mind-bending logic applies to ignorance and wisdom. You know, we think of them like darkness and light. You have to get rid of the darkness to have the light. One has to go. But the text says, nope. Their essential nature is also equal. They aren't enemies fighting each other. They're just two interdependent sides of the very same coin. Now, it's super important to get this right. The text isn't saying that causing harm is the same as being kind in our day-to-day lives. That's not the point at all. It's making a much, much deeper philosophical point. It's about seeing that both hatred and love, both confusion and clarity, they all spring from the very same ground of being. Neither one has its own separate, independent existence. They're fundamentally connected. So you might be asking, how does this one big idea, this concept of equality, create that unshakable confidence we talked about? Well, it's actually pretty logical. Once you start looking through this lens of equality, those four bold claims, well, they stop sounding like arrogant boasts and start sounding like unavoidable conclusions. It's like a chain reaction, you see? First, perfect enlightenment is simply the ability to see this equality everywhere. Second, the idea that your defilements are ended isn't about scrubbing something dirty clean. It's about realizing your true nature was never dirty in the first place. Third, the obstacles are just the thoughts and actions that come from believing things are separate. And finally, the path is just the way to show other people how to see through that same illusion for themselves. And the text really tries to give you a sense of just how massive this realization is. It keeps saying that this understanding is as boundless and as unshakable as space itself. Trying to find its edge, the sutra says, is like trying to find the edge of the sky. It's just everywhere. It's all-encompassing. Okay, but let's be real. If you figured all this out, if you had this incredible cosmic view of everything, why would you even bother trying to explain it to anyone else? Why not just, enjoy the peace? The text gives a very direct and very human reason. Well, the answer the text gives is actually really beautiful. It all comes down to compassion. The reason for teaching is profound empathy. It's seeing that the source of our anxiety, our fear, all our suffering comes directly from being trapped in this illusion of opposites, of seeing the world as a battleground of separate things. And that's where the compassion comes from, seeing that and wanting to show there's another way. This all sounds great, right? Very profound. But how do you actually do it? How do you see this equality for yourself? It's not just something you're supposed to believe in.
The text points to a very practical, observable law of the universe that makes it possible. This right here, this is the how-to manual. It's called dependent origination. And what it means is that when you carefully observe your own experience, you see that nothing, and I mean nothing, exists on its own. Every thought, every object, even the person you think you are, is just a temporary coming together of countless causes and conditions. When you see that deeply, the illusion of separate, solid things just starts to dissolve.
And this is really the mic drop moment of the whole text. It says that understanding this web of interconnectedness isn't just a cool intellectual idea. The very act of seeing it is the direct experience of reality, what it calls the Dharma. And that experience is the enlightened mind, the Buddha. The concept becomes a lived, breathing reality. So let's bring this all back home. We'll just leave you with this to think about. What changes if you stop looking at the struggles and joys in your life as a battle to be won? What if, instead, they're not opposites at all, but two sides of the same interconnected reality, just waiting to be understood?